a lot of amazing anime this season. A lot of them have a lot of great things going for them in terms of the animation, the storytelling, the artwork. But I'll be damned if I'm not going to say that Inuyashiki is definitely not a contender for one of the best anime of the season. And that's due to the fact that it has really great atmosphere, and it can tell you a story about characters that you've never even seen in any of the previous episodes, and still make you care about them. That's what I loved about this episode right here. Like, the first, half, hell, the first 75% of this week's episode of Inuyashiki has practically nothing to do with the super-powered cyborg grandpa and the psychopathic teenager, who is also a cyborg, by the way. No, we just got a very simple story about a very crazy Yakuza mafia boss. And the way that he treats people, his underlings, the women that he preys on, and they go really far to let you know that this guy is bad. There are bad people in the world, bad people need to be stopped, and that's where superheroes come in. I was sort of waiting for that moment where either Ichiro or Hiro was going to show up in this episode, and depending on which character actually would have showed up during this scenario, I'm really interested to see, how it would have played out. We know that in this episode, Ichiro is the one who eventually shows up, but what would have happened if Hiro walked into this situation? Would he have simply just killed everyone? Would he have actually tried to save these people? It's these type of things that I like to think about. And you know what? It doesn't even have anything to do with this episode. This is me just rambling on here. Let's talk about this episode right here. So, the overall story itself is deceptively simple. Basically, it's this short story about this young couple who are getting ready to get married. It's so happy and so bubbly that you just know something bad is about to happen. There's this other story that's going on which involves this Yakuza boss. In fact, the episode actually opens up with him, who he just got done basically raping a girl. She's been OD'd on drugs, so it's pretty freaking messed up, so she just overdosed. And then it's followed by a scene where he walks into a steam room and forces one of his underlings to suck his katana. I don't know what the point of this scene was, just to assert the fact that this guy is someone you don't want to mess with, because either A, he will kill you with his guns or his swords, or you will have to go down on his samurai sword. It's a really great introduction to a very evil character that you're just waiting for him to get his comeuppance. And through these crazy play of events, this Yakuza boss becomes obsessed with this young girl who's about to get married to this guy, and basically they kidnap her, she gets drugged, she gets raped, she manages to escape from him, and even manages to even cut his wrist in a scene that is so bloody and ridiculous you kind of have to laugh at it. She runs home to her boyfriend, and then that's when the Yakuza guys show up, and they start to rough him up, and things are about to get crazy, and that's when Ichiro shows up. He probably used his supersonic cyborg hearing, and he proceeds to awkwardly, of course, beat up the goons, but the big guy actually ends up shooting him multiple times in the head, which does no damage to him at all, but the blunt force trauma actually gets him knocked out, and he wakes up, he realizes the girl is gone, and that's when he goes on this vendetta against this mafia boss and his entire crew, in a scene which is so over the top and awesome that it kind of reminds me of something from Kill Bill. In fact, while watching the scene, watching him go up against all of the Yakuza members, I was like, this is totally a crazy 88 moment, because he just walks into this place, or excuse me, he flies into this place like a freaking boss, just landing like this badass cyborg eagle, and just everyone he walks into just gets destroyed. You know, he's still a little awkward the way he moves, which I think is very clever about the character, but little by little as the episode is going on, he becomes a little more competent in his abilities to actually fight against people and to defend himself, and also realizing that bullets aren't going to do freaking anything to him. So he runs into this boss, tries to negotiate with him, nothing happens, they get into a fight, and then he just knocks his ass out, and then proceeds to walk into this big Yakuza meeting, and he takes out all of these guys in a non-lethal way, but he actually teaches them a lesson. He blinds and paralyzes every single one of them. And the way this scene is done is he just explodes up into the air, his back opens up, revealing all of the mechanical parts in his body, and all of these weird lasers or wires come out, and they just pierce the eyes of all of these guys, go into the backs of their necks and destroy all of their joints and everything, and they completely paralyze them. And basically this is their punishment. They're going to have to live the rest of their lives not being able to see anything, not being able to move, not being able to interact with their family and have a normal life anymore. They're just going to have to live with the fact that all of the terrible things they've done, they're going to have to own up to it. it's a really powerful moment. And it's also a moment that made me kind of shocked to show that Ichiro would actually go this far. Because we saw a scene like this very similar in the first episode of the series where he stopped a bunch of kids. But he went by non-lethal means to do that. And I thought he was going to do kind of a similar thing here. But no, he went right for the freaking jugular. Or really, I should say the eye sockets. And he just destroyed all of these guys' eyes. Went over to the Yakuza boss. Basically, the same exact thing happened to him. And man, it is a great moment. He saves the girl, he flies away with her like freaking Superman, and the episode ends with this couple just being reunited and being happy, and that's it. That's the end of the episode. And it's probably my favorite episode from the series thus far. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Inuyashiki? Man, this is a show that gets better with every single episode, especially with the progression of the characters. But like I said, one of the biggest strengths of this one right here was how the first half of this episode made me actually care about these characters we've never seen or heard from before. I was invested in their story. I really wanted to know what was going to happen. I wanted to learn what the deal was with this mob boss. My first thought was when I saw him is how they made him so assertive and overwhelmingly powerful, and I assumed maybe there are other people out there in this world who also are half cyborg, and to introduce a freaking Yakuza member into that would be pretty freaking crazy, especially because imagine him going up against Hiro. Like, what would that scenario play out like? It would be really, really crazy. But no, he's just a very corrupt and super powerful human. That's just the way that it's seen. Even his fellow gangsters sort of see him as kind of like this over-the-top, super violent guy who shouldn't even be allowed to be a part of this organization. And they do everything in their power to make you hate him. Not only does he kidnap girls, rapes them, and forces them to do drugs and everything, but that scene at the beginning where he forces that dude to just get down there, if you know what I mean, like, it had nothing to do with the episode, but it totally set the tone for the entire one and let you know that this guy is messed up and he must be stopped. And like I said, that was another thing that I loved about the episode, was just sort of waiting to see where this was going, to see who was going to show up first. Ichiro, who could just walk in randomly because that's what he likes to do things, or excuse me, I'm talking about Hiro when I was saying that, or Hiro, you know, just sort of, you know, just popping up and doing his thing. Ichiro, I'm getting so scatterbrained just thinking about this episode. That's how incredibly freaking crazy it is. That in the series still continues to have really great production value. There are moments that could look better. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of CG animation, but it didn't bring the episode down for me at all. Everything still looked really clean for the most part, and the series still has some of the best backdrops that I've seen, like, every single time. If it's during the day, if it's the sunset scenes, which look absolutely freaking gorgeous and just totally capture that feeling of right before the sun is about to set. It's just perfect, and it totally sets the mood for every single scene. And I love that they made me care about this loving couple, which was freaking adorable. But that was the thing, like, I was like watching this with a friend and we're like, oh, something really bad is going to happen. Like, they're building up the fact that this couple is so in love. They live on meager means, but their whole relationship is built upon the foundation that they love each other and they want to have a family, and you're just like waiting for like Hiro to walk in and just bang, bang, kill them all, and it never happens. It's a whole other story about this crazy Yakuza guy who managed to be an incredibly rememberable character. That combined with finally getting to see Ichiro come in and start acting like a boss, getting better with his fighting skills, and realizing that he has the ability to stop people like this. Oh, and what about that scene that was basically like him being Liam Neeson from Taken? Like when he goes up against him for the first time and gets shot a couple times and gets knocked out, he finds the phone, he calls this guy, and he basically says, "I will find you and I will kill you." Like, it's such a great moment. But yeah, I totally got like a Taken vibe from that scene. So what more can I say? This was a great episode, production value-wise, art, storytelling, everything just worked in this episode, and I really cannot wait to see where the rest of this series is going to be headed. And it also got me thinking, are there other cyborg people out there? Is it simply just freaking Ichiro and Hiro? Are we going to see other people like this, or are they just going to keep introducing all of these other characters who are going to sort of just like, you know, connect to the other stories that are going on with our two main characters? Just the possibilities for this one are actually kind of endless, despite the fact that it seems like there is going to definitely be an end to this series. It could go on for a long time, but of course it is based on a series which does have a clear ending, and I'm ready to see that. What I will say is I'm loving the experience, and I'm loving every single episode every week. I love watching a show where I never know what's going to happen. And when it's based on a manga, it's even better. You know, I've always said that I'm definitely more of an anime than a manga guy, and it's never been truer than it is here. I'm not sure the manga could ever live up to the hype that I'm seeing with everything that's being presented right here, but I am interested to at least see. I will check out the manga series when the anime series is done, as I do know that this was from the creator of Gantz, and his overall art style, especially in manga, is like really, really good. Like super intense and mega detailed. The good thing is everything in the series looks great. I'm just rambling at this point. You guys know I loved this episode. It's a 5 out of 5. Make sure to check it out. If any of you guys did watch the episode, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and you can tell me all of them in the comments section below. If you liked the episode, if you didn't like the episode, what you hope to see from the rest of the series, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of other anime reviews, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay damn there, baby.